Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Edna White, your host of Keeping It Real on Purpose. And today we have an amazing guest on Author's Insight. We have Melanie Herschorn. Did I say it right?
You said it perfectly.
Okay. All right. I am going to introduce you, by the way, so don't get started talking. And we were talking earlier about, what you do, and I'm so thrilled to have you on, but I really want to get into it because you are the owner of VIP Book Marketing, correct?
That's right.
All right. So I want to introduce, she is a publisher and a book marketing strategist for attorneys, wealth consultants, and business owners worldwide. She's on a mission to empower authors to share their message with the world. With her comprehensive background of over 20 years as a celebrity publicist, got to hear that because I am on my way to celebrity, whatever the word is, celebrityism, I'm on my way. Award-winning journalists in radio, print, and TV, as well as clothing designers and entrepreneur, Melanie is uniquely positioned to support authors to step into thought leadership and make a big impact with their book. She's earned her master's degree in journalism from the University of Southern California, where she graduated first in her class. Whoa. Melanie grew up in Canada, has lived in the U.S., both in the U.S. Has lived on both U.S. coasts and both of them. Oh my gosh! And now resides in Arizona. Who would have thought that one? With her husband, daughter, and son, her dog Marty, and her cat Phoebe. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Edna. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so glad that you're here. Let's talk about your book, The Big Impact.
Okay. So so I really wanted to write a book when I was 9 years old, but I didn't know what it was going to be about.
Okay.
And all through my life, I never knew, I always had this desire to write a book, but I could never quite settle on a topic. And it wasn't until last year that I finally said, okay, I know what my book is going to be about.
Gotcha.
And so it is called Make a Big Impact with Your Book.
Okay.
Author Marketing Strategies for Long-Term Success. And it really talks about how to market a book long-term, especially if you're a nonfiction author.
Yes.
So that you don't have this thing that happens to every author. It's the excitement of the launch and then the fizzle.
Whew, that's big. The fizzle is big.
It's like
Yes. It's the biggest. All the action, all the action goes on at the launch, the book signings, but it's like, okay, now what? Now what? I like that. But go ahead.
And then there's the sadness, right? There's the sadness, and then we sort of beat ourselves up because it's like, oh, well, so-and-so's book selling all the time, and mine hasn't sold more than 3 copies since the launch. And
right.
So the goal is for anybody who reads the book to get ideas of how they can implement a long-term marketing strategy to keep the excitement going.
Gotcha. That's good. So, of course, I'm an author and I'm always writing books. So it's just, don't even ask me. They just come out. They just come out.
They're divinely sent. Yeah.
So I always want to keep it crisp. So for each book that I write, I have a goal. So I'll sit down. It may not be the same, but could you share, am I right about sitting down, making a goal, making a business plan for that? And is that in that strategy that you talk about?
Well, first of all, I love how you're asking me if I'm right. Asking me if you're right. I'm going to tell you that you're right, but I am not the authority on all things right and wrong, although ask my husband and he might say a different story about that. But however, yes, having a plan, what do they say? Without a plan, you plan to fail.
Yes, absolutely.
You need a plan for the book. And so when authors or would-be authors come to me, I say to them, okay, first of all, before we write a single word, what's the goal?
Yeah.
Why are you writing this book? And a lot of my clients, the goal is to use the book as a marketing tool.
Right.
It's not to become the next Simon
Oh,
Sinek
that's good.
or yeah. So it's more about using the book as a lever to open doors. If it's
That's good.
stages, podcasts, opportunities,
Right.
media opportunities. So that's
Right.
really what we're doing. But whatever your goal is, you need to have a goal before you write the book. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think you're totally on track. But thank you for asking my opinion.
And I'm going to tell you, a lot of clients that I get involved with, they write the book because they want to tell their story.
Yes.
And I always tell them, I thought that too. I thought that too. But I was telling my story, there's a way that I have to tell it. And it's getting into that door. What door do you want to get in? Where do you want this to go? What are you targeting? What's like an arrow? What are you really targeting? And I find that, people want to just tell their story and it maybe doesn't go anywhere. Is it because of not having that plan?
Yes, and think about you already mentioned it, and I'm just going to underscore what you said, which was you have to say it in a different way.
Okay.
So for example, on your LinkedIn bio,
Yes.
your about section really shouldn't be about you. It should be about the person reading it. So the same way your
You're
book.
starting stuff. Stop starting things, okay? Stop it.
So it's in the same way when you're writing a book about yourself, remember that the person reading it
Right.
is going to see themselves in it.
Right.
So how can you write it in a way that it's not all really about you? It's about the
Yes.
shared experience.
Yes. I always had that. See, now you're opening cans of worms that you need to open and you need to answer to now. Okay.
Okay.
I see this all the time, and I'm not one, I don't think you are, because I looked at your tagline. I was like, I love a crisp timeline. Just says one thing and one thing only, and it doesn't. I wouldn't have known if I didn't know about your bio, all that you did. But most people, they want everybody to see that, and it's in their timeline. And gosh, is it in their time? In their signature? Let me say, I'm sorry, in their signature and their profile. It's like, what do you do? Like,
I
right?
don't know what they do. Yes.
What do you do? So in marketing, give us a little insight into those two pieces, like, with the book and with your profile. How do you get that in line to make it I guess, to attract the person that's reading or looking at it?
When you think about what your book is about or
Right.
what you do or how you help people,
Mm-hmm.
what is that one thing?
Oh, you keep doing that, Melanie. Stop it. That's really good.
I and I sit on the shoulders of giants because I did not come up with that.
Yeah.
And 5 years ago, when I watched a friend of mine give that talk, her name's Terry Crenshaw. I'm going to give her
Hmm.
that props. She said, "Find that one thing."
Yeah.
And 5 years ago, I couldn't.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of refining and
Oh my gosh, you're not kidding.
what we were talking about before we went live,
Mm-hmm.
niching up.
Niching up. It's so very hard as a woman to niche up because we have to always validate ourselves so much as women. And we always have to do that. And then when we create those milestones, or we get those certificates, or we step over that next level. It's like we want the whole world to know, and we want to say it real loudly. But when it comes to marketing, it's niching up. It's so finite. It took me years. It took me years, like complete, and I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. It's a journey.
It is.
But if I can impart one piece of advice, it's that
Sure.
the top level, like how you help somebody, is the
Mhm.
most important thing that you can tell people in your marketing.
Oh, that's good.
Because when somebody shows up on your social media or
Right.
they come across your website, the only
Right.
thing they're thinking is, what's in it for me.
Right, right.
And it's not conscious.
No.
I mean, if you think about the doom scroll, when you're like on Instagram, it's like 12:30 at night, and you're like, go to bed, but oh, what's that? What's that?
Yeah, yeah.
So when you're thinking about that person who's doom
Hmm.
scrolling, you know, what
Hmm.
could you say to them that would stop the scroll?
Yeah, that's good. So now you're making me see there's people like you that make me rethink because I always thought something was, off. Like, why would they want to know all this junk? Because sometimes we replicate what we see other people do, right? And I was like, why would they want to know all this junk? I know for me, I would just skim past me and like, I'm always trying to perfect like those type of things, especially around marketing, because they are so very different. Posting and marketing are so very different in the world of things, right?
Yeah, they are, because you're trying to, there's this like imaginary void that we're trying to fill. Just
Yeah.
get something up there, just get something up there.
You're
But
right. Just get it up there.
just
Just
get,
get it
yeah,
up there.
yeah.
So let's go back to you talked about your marketing a book, and you talk about the goals, right?
Mhm.
So with let's I'm ready to talk about how you help attorneys. I'm ready.
Okay. So it's very exciting. Okay. So
Okay.
the reason I started working with attorneys was that, well, it was kind of a few things.
Okay.
So one is I secretly always wanted to be an attorney, but chickened out before ever taking the LSAT. Two, I had a family member go through a really messy divorce,
Okay.
and it made no sense to me
Hmm.
the outcome of the alimony and the whatever else was being paid. It didn't make any
Right.
sense because I
Right.
watched way too much television. That if this had played out on TV, then
Right.
the woman would have walked away rich and the man would have walked away and gone into the gutter. But that's not what
Right.
happened.
Right.
And so I
Totally
started,
backwards.
right. So then I started thinking, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. And if I
Hmm.
don't understand, I'm sure there are lots of other people that don't understand. And so, in a way, attorneys and wealth advisors and business owners, they're all gatekeepers to things that we lay
Okay.
people don't understand. And and then I started flipping it on its head, and it was like, but if they explained it in a book, they could
Yeah.
acquire so many new clients because it would be clear,
Hmm.
it would be
Hmm.
understandable, and a book makes you an expert right off the bat.
Yes.
And when you
Right.
weave in stories about yourself, it's
Right.
like the person reading it already knows you before they've met you.
Right. That's cool. That I like that. I like that. Well, I think I get that from like the books that I write, and people like I know your story already. It's like, when I first wrote my story, I wrote it in a way, and I sat and I thought about it, and going through childhood trauma, you want to get all of that out. But I said, if I write this story, I want it to not only to be to tell my story, but to let it be helpful. Because I've read so many other traumatizing books that I was traumatized from reading it, and I
Right.
didn't, I didn't hear
Yes.
any, I didn't hear any help for me, and
Oh,
I was traumatized again. I'm like, it was really bad for me. So I said, I don't want this. I want to be able to help those that I'm writing to and the audience. And so when I sat down, I really thought about it. I could tell horrific pieces of it, but I was like, what would that what's the point of that? I wanted somebody to get help. And I remember when I sold my first 10,000 ebook copies, and it was to a school in Germany.
yeah.
I was like, this is like it was a heavy subject. And the professor called me, and he says, I bought them so I can give them away here.
Mhm.
And he said, because it's a great topic, and people, they don't talk about it here.
Yeah.
So I felt like really like I was like, oh my gosh, 10, and it wasn't, I didn't write it in German, it was in English, so I was like, I'm never going to sell it there, but I knew I did the right thing, and still, it still brings me, and I'm going to ask you a question because it still brings me residual income. Now, you talked about how to keep making it sustainable and having that honeymoon period of the book launch lasts forever. Let's talk about that because we have a lot of listeners who are authors that are just in that lull.
That's right. Now, before we do that, though, I would
Yes.
really love to ask you a question. I know, I'm sorry,
Yes.
turning the
Okay.
tables on you. But how did it feel
Yeah.
knowing that you were impacting people on the other side of the world, basically?
I started crying. I was like, this can't be real. And I kept looking at it and I was like, then I called up Amazon. I said, is this real? Like, I really didn't believe it. I was like, I called them up. I said, is this real? And they were like, what? I said, the sale, like the sale, there's 10,000 copies. And they was like, if it's there, I believe it is. And then so I said, can you just like check if it was mixed up or something? And the rep said, no, it's correct. And they said, I believe the person left you a message. And I was like, well, that's too heavy today. I just got to absorb this today because this is like, I was happy. I was, the tears were happy, was of joy, and that I really impacted someone so much that it was just phenomenal for me. Like I felt like this is it. This is where I belong. This is the spot right here. You know.
And that's all because you shared your story.
Yes. All because of that.
Okay, sorry. Continue. What was your question? I couldn't pass by that moment. It was so beautiful.
It's all because of that. I'm telling you, and every time I write, the stories just come out. So um, it's not like sometimes you have to think about it, and you plot it out, you plan it out. It's not that for me. It's like it just comes, and I jump up and I just start writing, and I don't know what I'm writing. I just write until it stops. It stops flowing, and then I leave it because I'm not thinking about it's going to be published or not. I leave it. Then I come back to it and I was like, wow, I wrote that. And it just comes out. And so then I think about it, and it's okay. Now it's time. Okay, it's like cooking in the oven. Okay, now it's time to do that.
Yeah.
And I do it. I just do it. I just put it out, and it's so successful that I don't know if I'm, maybe no, it's because I'm aligned, because it wasn't like that before. I didn't speak, I didn't write, I didn't do anything. But once I became aligned, I felt great. I felt free. Like I could just do anything.
Beautiful.
That made sense, And besides, this is not about me. I'm asking you questions. Don't be tricking me.
I'm
No,
sorry.
you do not be tricking me now.
Okay, so I'll answer your question, because the question was about people in this sort of, preventing keeping the honeymoon going, basically, is how
Yes.
you put it. So first thing you want to make sure you have is your foundational pieces. So
Oh, that's
you
good.
have a social media presence. You
Yes.
have a lead magnet that can help you grow your email
Okay.
list. You have blogs. You have a website. When
Right.
somebody Googles you, they figure out pretty much right away who you are and how you can help them.
Okay.
Then there's the next piece of that, and that's sort of pulling that lever with the book and using the book to get on stages or to get
Yes.
on podcasts or to get media opportunities.
That's
When you're leveraging other people's audiences, like kind of meta, like here I am talking to you and all your amazing audience, and you've been so gracious as to bring me on as a guest.
right.
And when I come on as a guest, all of a sudden I'm painted as an expert.
Right.
Which is such a great thing when somebody else, okay, in this case, it's expert Edna White, says that Melanie Herschorn is also an expert.
Yeah.
So
Well, you are.
well, thank you.
Because you've been on NBC, CBS, ET, NPR, Huffington Post, US, Bravo, and what is AP?
Oh, Associated Press. I wanted two Associated Press
Get
ones.
out. So you a VIP girl. You's a VIP. Get out. So you are.
Thank you.
Right.
So when you have those two pieces, and
Yes.
then you keep the momentum going,
Okay.
and you create new streams of revenue. So maybe it's creating a course based on your book and
Yeah.
selling that. Or if you're a children's book author, creating a stuffed animal. I have a client who created stuffed animals and started packaging them with the books and selling
Yes.
those. And so there are so many different ways to create revenue from a book, because the book alone we don't always get rich off of.
Exactly. Exactly. That is so very true. Around every book that I've created another piece to it. Each year I create another piece to it.
Mhm.
Um, and what I found, I know that people do book tours, things like that, and I always try to think outside the box. So this year, and maybe you'll laugh at this. I thought of, since I do a lot of books on self improvement,
Mhm.
I thought I'd like get involved with working with people, like the furniture stores, like a bedding place, right? So I was going to do a book signing at a
Ooh,
bedding place.
I love that.
I got a opportunity to be with Bob's store, furniture store.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm doing a book signing, and we're gonna call it something that has to get the best sleep or something like. We're gonna he's the manager is gonna make this big thing, and it's gonna be great. But that's a way also. Would you say like just creating like partnerships to
It's
kind of create
amazing. Yes, collaborations
yeah,
are brilliant. And I love how you thought outside the box.
yeah. I love it. It's just so great. And then I got one with actually furniture, and I was like, oh, this is great. All I had to do was just ask. I was like, so I really thought about it because I was like, how many Barnes and Nobles are there? And if you know about publishing and everything, there's not too many bookstores anymore. Everything's like online.
Right. Yeah.
So you can only do so many in the bookstores, and I started thinking outside the box. So I'm also doing something with what's the name of the Ulta. I'm going in and doing a thing with Ulta, how to make yourself self improvement. I'm doing a book signing there. I was like, I have to think outside the box, other places, so that I can be able to have that other avenue of stream of income.
Those are excellent ideas. You should
Yeah.
be very proud of yourself.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I just thought of it. I just like, let me go. Let me ask. And it just started happening. I was like, okay, let
But
me do that
isn't
again.
it interesting how, like, if you don't ask, you're always going to get the answer no?
Yes, yes. But that's the exciting thing around working in what you do is marketing and always thinking about um, the seven figures, because can you get a seven figure out of a book?
I think that if you give books away and you have several clients come and work with you, you could hit more than seven figures.
What do you mean by that? Give it
Well,
away.
let's say each client pays you $20,000
Gotcha.
per book.
Right.
I'm not a math genius without a calculator, but getting my calculator. So seven figures. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there we go. And then we say divided by 20,000. And then we get 500.
Okay.
So let's say you gave 500 books away,
Okay.
or you sold 500 books.
Okay.
And then 500 people decide over the course of several years to work with you.
Okay.
That's $10 million right there.
What? Say that again to the audience because we need to hear that and break it down nice and slow because I think I like it.
Okay, so if your coaching program costs $20,000
Right.
and you had 500 people, each got a book, and each of them signed up to work with you,
Right.
that's $10 million. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I can look at it. I can try recalculating, but
That
1, 10,
so
10.
you just gave us a brilliant idea to add into our coaching program.
Yeah.
So does this work well with just one or with groups?
Well, it's per book. So if you
Okay.
had it, yeah. So if you had a group program or
Right.
a one-on-one, whatever it
Right.
is,
Right.
you can calculate that the cost of the book
Right.
is pretty nominal.
Right.
You think about how much you can generate from it.
From the
Because if
book.
somebody reads your book and they go and they hire you,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
returns in spades.
I love giving away the book. I love it. I remember when I had my first book signing, and I had one of the publishers paid me to curate all these women from all over the world to write about their trauma. So I had it at a library, and I met this amazing girl. It came out in the rain to help me pull the stuff in, and she came out in the rain, and she said, "Do you want me to help you?" I said, "Sure." So she talked to me all the way there, and she goes, "What do you do?" And we're just having this little chat. Then I said, "Thank you," and then I said, "Wait, wait, wait." And so I signed it. I said, "This is for you." And she goes, "Oh my God!" And she started like dropped a tear, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is like," it was. She's like, "No one's ever done that for me before." I was like, "You helped me." So, but I love the fact of just giving it away, and then she was a what do you call the librarian when they help the teenagers when they work at the library, whatever. Like
Right?
I forgot the name of them. Like so she
Like a library aid.
yeah, library aid. She was there. She left a message for me. She had moved, and she left it with one of the librarians to tell me that she loved the book and thank you so much. I was like, oh, that was really great. So I keep that little paper with me just to remind me, give it away, and it's worth a lot.
It
And
is.
everyone talks about you. That's the other thing. Everyone talks about you. They talk about you.
You get a lot of great notes.
They talk about you. So Melanie, I love it what you do. I really, really do. I know I could just keep picking at you and get all the juicy stuff from you because I know I got to get this book. I'm buying this book. Audience, you guys got to buy this book. You got it on hand? Oh, there it is, right there, right in the back in green. It's right in the back there. You got to get that book. I'm gonna get that book. How do you? And this is my last question. I'm not gonna bug you no more. So I want to, if I'm an author, I want to get back into the swing of things. The book is not doing well, um, and I get a bad review. That's another thing. A bad review. I get a bad review, and it's not great. What do I do?
Okay. So the first thing I will suggest that you do is
Yeah.
cry in your car.
You know that's happening anyway.
Um,
You know that's happening anyway. It's gonna happen.
so I'm
It's
not,
going
I'm not,
down.
I'm just, what, asking for a friend, as they say. No, I actually did that. I got
Yeah.
a really mean review on
Yeah.
my book and I cried in my car
Yeah.
and then like hysterical. And
Yeah.
then I stopped and I
Yeah.
went, hold on a minute. What this woman said in the review
Right.
was right in a way,
Right.
because the reason I wrote the book was to market my business.
Right.
And that's what she was accusing me of.
Right.
And I went, oh, well, that was the whole point.
Yeah.
And then she started attacking my
Yeah.
character.
He started attacking
That's a
you.
whole other thing. I've never met her before, but she can attack my character.
Yeah.
So what I would say is one bad review,
Yeah.
it's okay. I had a client who applied for a Kirkus review and she got one.
Right.
And it was some good, some not so good. But the thing about a review is you can take out a part. You can
Yes.
take out a small quote. And
Yes.
we didn't change the meaning.
Yeah.
So she was able to take a positive line from
Yes.
that review and
Oh, that's good.
distribute it. And
That's really good.
if you think about it, I don't watch live TV anymore, but in the
Me
old
neither.
days when we all did, and they would have the
Yes.
movie commercials, and it would
Yes.
be like amazing
Yeah.
TV guide, and you'd
Yeah.
be like, maybe it said amazingly bad, but it doesn't matter because they just took the word amazing out of that. So you can do that.
You're right.
What I would say is get a bad review, get it out of your system, get it
Yeah.
out of the way. It's
Yeah.
going to happen. You triggered somebody.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
but were they your ideal reader? Probably
Right.
not.
Probably not. Yeah.
And what's the mission of your book? Don't forget that.
Don't ever. Yes, that's a good one. Don't ever forget
Always
it.
go back to the mission of your book.
Mm-hmm. That's really good. But what if you? Okay, so I've written bad books. I just put them out there, and then I had to take it back because I knew it was bad. I knew it was bad. It was just not. It was just bad. You know. How do you come back from that? A bad book. How do you come back? Do you just do it over? What do you do? Because I couldn't see myself selling the book. Once I really, you know how it is when you first get out there. I want to get it out, just get it out, because I just wanted to get it out. And I wasn't diligent about proofreading it or getting it proofread or anything. It was just my first self-published book. Then I was like, when I really read it, I was like, when I got the copy, I was, oh no, this has got to come out off the shelf, and people like buying it. And I felt so bad. So how do you come back from that, Melanie? Is there a way that you can come back from that?
Absolutely. So what I would do is put out a second edition.
Oh, great! I'm writing this down.
Write that down. I would take it offline and put out a second edition that you're proud of. Because the last thing you want to do, look, this is really about you too. Yeah,
Right.
it's about the people you're going to impact, but it's also
Right.
about you. And if you're not
Yes.
proud of something, then
Yes.
you're not going to want to sell it. And you're gonna
Right.
be embarrassed. And
Exactly.
it's, I was just talking to somebody about, ghostwriting versus not. And I said to her, I know we've only just met, but I feel like if you ghostwrite a book, if you have a book ghostwritten, I should say, you're going to feel a separation between
That
you
is
and the book,
correct.
and
Yep.
you may not feel like it's your own. And given what I know of you and your life, I think that might not sit well with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. You're
So
right. And you're not going to market it. You're not going to tell everybody about it.
exactly.
You're just not.
You're not going to tell people about it
You're
if you
not going to
aren't
do it.
really proud of it.
Yeah. I mean, if we were, Oprah and Tony
Gail, I'll be
Robbins,
Gail. Okay, no.
no, they can have a book ghostwritten and it'll fly off the shelves. But we're we're not those people yet.
Right. And you know what? They might not even do that either.
Right.
They may insist on writing their own stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because it is, you're right. It creates a closeness that it's your project. And I did say I was going to, this is your last question. I'm gonna hurry up and get off because I know we're getting closer on. What suggestions you give authors like myself who's on a 30-second book? How do I market? What do I do?
Your 30-second book. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Okay. So you probably have, well, do you have a lot of reviews? Because I think that you should focus on getting book reviews.
Okay. I
I would
have about 25 each one.
Okay. So I would focus on getting book reviews for the newest
Gotcha.
book.
Okay.
I would also go back to people who have reviewed your other books, people who have read your other books,
Okay.
and maybe offer them a chance to have an
Okay.
an
Okay.
ebook copy of the book. Um,
Okay.
I guess what is the end goal? Like, what is your end desire for
So each of my books, like I said, has an end goal. Some of them are part of a series, and some are just like one that I wrote about authorship, how to start up and be motivated about it. That I wrote because people were asking me all the time how to do it, how to do it, how to do it, and I was like, let me just write this, and I did it. I put it out, and it sells better in ebook form than on paper.
Yeah.
Um, but I have, like, a lot of them are mostly connected to programs or courses.
Okay.
They're connected to most likely is to courses and programs that I.
Okay. So maybe consider giving the book away when
Okay.
somebody joins the course.
Okay. I did take that already. I wrote that down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or bundling a few books together.
Okay.
Or we talked about collaboration a little bit, finding
Yes.
people who serve a similar audience, but it's not a conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they have books. You can do a book bundle giveaway.
Oh, that's good. Okay. I like
Or
doing stuff like that.
okay, or even a lead magnet exchange in over email.
What do you mean? I don't understand. What is
So
that?
I have a freebie, for example, and
Right.
then you send my freebie out to the people on your email list.
Okay.
In exchange, I take your freebie and send it out to the people on my
Oh.
email list.
Oh, okay. So like a book swap.
Yeah, it's almost like
Okay.
a book swap. Yep.
Okay.
You could also do
With
that.
other people. That's
Yeah.
great. That's great. Well, you're giving me a whole lot of homework. Audience, I hope you guys are listening to this because this is really, really good for all of us in general. These are great ideas to help market your book. So I'm really excited that Melanie's here. I'm probably going to have you back because I really want to get to some of these authors and have like a workshop. I think it would be amazing. But I know you're too busy probably with these attorneys and their writings and all of this. So, but we'll get back together. I think that what you have and what you do is so very exciting. Marketing has been so overlooked in the in with the books with authors,
Yeah.
so overlooked and very underrated, and we struggle, and I don't want to say struggling anymore. I don't want to say that. I want to be able to support, just like maybe you do, is how to make this book have like all these tentacles like an octopus, that you're getting income on all sides.
Yep.
So I really like that. I'm going to definitely consider bundling for all of my book signings. I like that idea so very much. Give me some cute little bows. Love it. I like that idea. I love it. Love it,
Yeah.
love it, love it.
Yeah.
So, what is a final thing, Melanie, you can tell us? And no, it's not the final thing. I need to find out where you are, what you're doing,
Oh,
what's coming up,
okay.
all of
Okay.
that.
Okay. So I've decided that I need to change the name of my company.
What?
And so I'm in the process of doing it.
Okay.
And it's going to be called Big Impact Books. Thank you. So you can
That's
still
great.
reach me at all the things. I'll have lots of redirects and all the things. But that's the big thing
I
on my
love
brain right
that.
now. Yeah, thank you.
Big impact books. That monumental. Better. I like VIP, but I think I like this more.
Oh, thank you.
I think I like it more.
Thank you.
I do. I like it, and it's all built on your book that you wrote. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I like that. So that's coming in the near future.
Near future, yes, definitely
Ah,
near future, and
excellent.
yes, very near future, and and just continuing to help authors.
That's great.
That's why I'm here.
Absolutely. Awesomeness. Well, give us your website because I know it's going to be um, in the content around the audio as well as the video. So give us your website,
It is vipbookmarketing.com.
and you'll be redirected. Don't
I will
worry,
be
you'll be
redirecting you.
redirected.
Don't worry.
Well, Melly, I want to thank you. This has been the most informative, one of the most informative, um, interviews that I've had, and I'm glad to have you on. I will take your homework into consideration, and you will get an email from me after I've done my homework. I want to thank you for being here. I know that the audience really wants to thank you. Audience, remember when you're on audio that you can actually send Melanie a message. Just go to the voicemail, push the button, leave her a question or a comment, and I'll send it right over to her. If you're on YouTube, you know what to do. Post your comments below. This is Edna White, your host of Keeping It Real on Purpose, and my esteemed guest, Melanie Herschorn, saying goodbye for now.